Jason, good.
Hi.
Hey, Jason, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for being on my podcast,
No
Jagged
problem.
Parts.
Thank you for having me.
We're in your lovely office, the Principal's Talent Office.
Yes.
Let's start off with an origin story. Jason, where were you born? Where'd you grow up? And how did you get into this business?
Okay. I was born in Vancouver, North Vancouver, 1979. I grew up on the North Shore. I was involved in theater, dance, and improv my whole life and got into the arts that way. I had no idea I would become an agent. It just kind of happened.
So you were a performer?
I was a performer before, yeah.
Okay.
And essentially what happened was my agent of a couple years was getting married, having kids, kind of moving on with that part of her life. And my dad, I was at a weird stage, like 21. You're like, well, what are you doing with your life, you know?
Right.
And my dad took me out and he was like, you should just make an offer and buy her business. I was like,
oh, buy your agent's business?
Yeah. I was like, are you fucking crazy? I'm like a bartender, like server at like Northlands Bar and Grill in North Van. And I was like, there's no way. Like I just didn't think that way at that age, you know?
Right.
But I took his advice and did just that. And here we are almost 18 years later. So it's crazy. Wow. Yeah. It was the best decision I ever made.
But you were an actor with her at that time. You were not working as a talent agent.
I was not. No, I was an actor with her for a few years, but I was at university as well in Toronto, and so I was kind of back and forth. And then
where in Toronto did you go?
I went to York University.
Oh, cool! I have a lot of friends at York.
Yeah. It was a good school back in the day. Back then, it was a relatively good theater school and had a great theater program and. So yeah, I applied there right out of high school and then dropped out. A university dropout.
As a lot of successful people are.
Exactly. You know, I was always under I didn't like being told what to do. I think that's why I became my own boss.
So what made did you at that point have inklings that you wanted to maybe transition out of the acting side of things and be...
No, like... This whole jump from being, an actor, bartender to a business owner was like, it kind of blew my mind. I didn't know what I was doing. And for the first couple of years, I made some mistakes, obviously, as one would. Some more expensive than others, but never made that expensive mistake again once I learned my lesson. But it was the best decision I made, and it's been the best job I could ever have asked for. I absolutely love it. I mean, I love the arts, and I love working with artistic people and talented people and watching them, start from, the newbie green stage to developing them into something it's an amazing journey to watch. And I think it's the most gratifying. I mean, you're kind of being part of somebody's dream. Really, and helping them along the way. So,
right. So let's just rewind a bit. So you bought the agency. What was the agency called at that time, or did you name it Principals right away?
No, it was called Principals. I just kept the name.
Oh,
essentially, what I was buying was like the name and the groundwork. I mean, she had done 2 or 3 years of getting on the union list. Getting in with breakdown services, getting letters of recommendation from different casting directors in town for being reputable, all this sort of legwork, which takes a while to do.
Right.
And I kind of came in right at that moment. But it was me and 30 actors working out of my parents' basement. And then now there's 6 of us and 200 actors, and our actors are working all over the world now. So it's pretty crazy how things can evolve.
How did she react when you first offered to?
How did she?
Yeah.
She was really happy. She kind of, it was funny, like when I was an actor, there was one office in Vancouver that I got myself in to see, and then they would just call me at home, and then I would call her and tell her I'm going to see them tomorrow. So I kind of was always like a self-promoter.
Okay.
And so I don't know, maybe yeah, she was, I think, out of all, I was that actor who called my agent every day. I was like my worst own nightmare. Yeah. But I don't know. I think you have to persevere, and you have to kind of knock down those doors, especially when you're starting out. I mean, I had to knock down the doors to get my actors into commercial rooms. And then I used this, I had one really good actor who was a kid actor, and kids are generally easier to get into rooms if they're good. So I used her to get in to see all these other casting directors who didn't really know who we were at the time.
Right.
And then if they're good and they can trust you, then they'll be like, okay, well, who else does he rep? And then it kind of just would snowball like that. I mean, it takes years of sending them, reputable and reliable actors to get, to where we're at. But it's been awesome. Yeah, it's so fun. I mean, how you love being an actor, right?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, like you said, right? You have to it takes time to build credibility in all sides of the business, and I think you really have to love what you do. Getting into that, actually. So I think you already talked a bit about like what you love most about doing what you do. So what really motivates you on a daily basis? Because it can be a tough business, right?
It's a tough business, yeah. It's highly competitive. It's not just competitive in the Vancouver market or in the Canadian market. I mean, you're working within the U.S. as well. Right. When you have actors at that level that are competing for the shows that everyone wants to be a part of. Like, people want to be on the best comedy or dramas, and most of that stems from Los Angeles. But I think what motivates me is to see an actor who comes to me. Like, I've repped one actor she's now 23, and she came to me when she was 8 years old.
Okay.
And she has now over 100 credits. She's been on a bunch of TV shows. I mean, she's watching her start from zero and then go, through the industry. It's exciting. It's when you believe in somebody and want to see them succeed and watch them and help them develop over the years. I think that's the most gratifying and rewarding part of this job. But I think any agent can rep an actor who's doing really well and on a show. I think the real true test of being a good agent are the ones who just finish a show and maybe they haven't booked in a few months, and being there to support them during that time and finding creative ways to keep them busy and help them not spiral out of control. Right. That I think is the biggest test at being good at your job. And that kind of motivates me because it's hard. It's a hard thing to do. And every single actor I surround myself with, and all of the agents here, the company as a whole, we like each and every individual we have here. We are boutique. We don't have like 400 or 500 clients, and we're not throwing spaghetti against the wall. We're very picky with who we bring on and who we want to work with, because it is a relationship, and we want it to be a long one. So we want to, attract the right talent.
Right. Cool. So that's a fantastic answer, because, like you said, the industry's full of ups and downs, and especially through those down periods, and maybe even working with those actors who are going through rough patches. And so what are some ways that you work with actors who are maybe just going through a bit of a rough patch?
Working with actors through a rough patch. I mean, I think you just have to support their decisions and maybe show them like, okay, maybe maybe projects that they might not necessarily want to read for when they're on a show, like maybe they should take a look at them and just try and keep it open, and maybe do a theater job and like help kind of spark that love again, because I think an actor they get in their head and they can get in their own way, and it really can, they can bring that energy into the room, and it's not helpful. I mean, if you're going to go into the room and be like, kind of down in the dumps, you're going to project that. It doesn't matter how hard you try not to. And so you got to keep them positive, and you got to keep them on track. And if they're up for a big job and they don't get it, you know, it's kind of like onwards and upwards. Like there's something else that's going to happen during that time frame that you wouldn't have been necessarily available for if you booked this other job. So that's why you didn't get this one, you know?
Mm-hmm. Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think you just have to be, you're kind of like almost like a therapist in a sense, right? Like, cause you're
right.
It's tough because the actor is the product. And so when they don't get a job and repeatedly don't get a job for X amount of months, it's hard not to take that personally. But they shouldn't, because remember, like, the casting world, as you know, like, I mean, it could come down to having a beard or not having a beard, or,
right.
you know, they want somebody with blue eyes and you have brown eyes. Yeah, you're too tall, small, whatever. I mean, there's so many little reasons why you might not fit the puzzle for that particular part.
Do you ever find what those reasons are? Do you get that honest feedback? Or because some of those reasons could on the surface be kind of petty, right? So they might not want to say it, but
totally. Sometimes. Not usually. You kind of would get a general answer,
right,
from casting, because they don't really, if you think about it, if they're bringing in, you know, like some offices see 700 actors a week if they have, you know, 10 shows going, especially in the Vancouver scene, right? So they're not going to remember every single one of you guys auditioning in a week. You know, you have to remember,
right?
You have to remember that. So, you know, if it's a big search, you might find out just by after you see a few breakdowns come through for a particular role, and maybe the age range has changed, maybe the type of ethnicity has changed, and then it will rule out some people that have already gone in because of that reason, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that. One of my friends in Toronto, he was up for something, and then he got a call back, and then he was kind of pinned, and then he didn't get that role, but then the casting director called him for something else, and then he asked for feedback, and the feedback he got was that he was horrible. And, you know, he was obviously devastated, but then he got more details in the feedback on what he did in the audition, and then he's like, I didn't do that.
Oh,
so
they
it turns out
him up?
Yeah, it turns out he got
my
the feedback.
God.
He got the wrong feedback. I mean, just to your point, right? They're looking at so many people, and maybe they just, you know, the assistant sent the wrong one off or whatever.
And that's why I laughed at that, because I'm just like, sometimes, like, it's so busy for them.
Yeah.
And you don't want to, you know, callback is the feedback. A booking is the feedback. Like, that's feedback enough, right? And it just depends on the time and the project and what's going on, whether you can get more or less out of these casting directors. And you have to also remember, like, you know, I don't only represent you. Like, I have you know, X amount of actors on my books that I'm putting in and working with these casting directors for other jobs and other roles. And everyone's at a different level. Like, there's some that are more experienced than others. So if I'm going to go out on a limb and push for something, like, it has to make sense, and it has to be the right time. It has to be calculated, right? Or, you know, it just has to make sense. You know what I mean? Like, it has to be fair to everybody in my firm. I can't, you know, it's just, that's the way we work. I mean, we're a team here. Like, I know a lot of people in town will say they're a team, but I mean, literally, if one of us is away, the support from the other agents is there. Right. No one's missing anything. We all know.
Everyone's CC'd on the email.
Everyone's CC'd, and everyone knows everyone on the roster. I mean, that's why we keep it small and boutique, so you can manage these people better.
So when did you bring on Sarah and Sean and Jay and Michaela
and Aiden? So let's see now. I think Sarah's like 11 years ago.
Okay.
Started out as an assistant, and then went away and came back. Sean too started out as an assistant. Jay Risk used to work as an agent, then moved into casting with Clark and Page for 8 years, and then here now for almost 4. And so we all kind of bring something a little different. Like, Sarah went to school in Victoria for public relations, and then Sean was at PAVI, the music entertainment program, I think. Okay. Something like that. I can't remember the name. What's the name of it, Sean? PAVI. See, our office, we yell at each other. This is how we work. And then Jay, coming from theater and being an agent and then working in casting and being in the rooms with, you know, one of the busiest offices in town.
Right.
And then myself as, again, I guess, improv performer way back in the day. And then now I think all four of us have a different a view and a different opinion on things. And we might not necessarily all agree with that, but as a team and we look at something, we come up with the best viable option for casting.
Right.
I think.
Right. I mean, that's great teamwork, right?
Yeah.
It's good that people think differently because people bring different perspectives.
Absolutely. And that's what it's about. Because if you go into a room, like, casting is suggesting that this person is right for the role,
Right.
but the producers and directors may or may not agree, right? And so it's all opinion based. And I guess apparently the longer you're in it, the more your opinion weighs in. I don't know. I mean, I think it's just a matter of the more you send them the right talent for the roles. And I love this scenario is when they won't see an actor and you push or you tape and then they do see them and then they go into the callback and then they book the role. It's kind of like, you know, those are the best wins for for us. And yeah, I just think it shows that you are doing your work and you're doing your job.
Yeah. So to that, one of the things I've noticed over the years is, you know, you go in for a role and there's men, there's women, there's all ethnicities for the same role, which is fantastic, right? I mean, if a role doesn't need to be a man, why can't they make it a woman or vice versa or whatever? So I think it's great that it's opening up that way. And how have you seen the industry change? And when I say the industry, film and TV and theater, I know is big here as well, or maybe not so big, but
it's so.
But film and TV, how have you seen it change in the last 10 years, maybe? I know it changes every 6 months. It changes so fast, but what are the biggest changes you've seen?
mean, when I first, Principal's Talent was one of the first agencies on the casting workbook.
Okay.
And so electronic submissions were just starting to, happen, or they were just they were working out all the kinks of how that's done. And I remember Breakdown Services didn't even have an electronic submission section. We were faxing lists of names when I first started.
And resumes and headshots?
No, for big features, I remember putting together packages with headshots and resumes and a list and couriering stuff over to casting offices. I mean, do you know how much time that would take? I mean, it's crazy. So technology, that in itself, I mean, is a huge part in this industry for making things faster. I mean, we can do our job way quicker now with electronic submissions, with self-tape auditions. I mean, we have a studio in our office for that reason. I mean, when I was working out of my parents' basement, I didn't bring actors there to tape. I would actually fork out cash for Shoreline or Second Avenue Studios and tape my actors for shows in Toronto and other places and put that money out there hoping it would come back. And so that in itself, I mean, has allowed the actors more opportunities and they get to work on stuff out of town. Like, we've had actors in Colombia, in Hungary, in Ireland, in LA, and I mean,
booked off tapes,
yeah. I mean, it's pretty awesome that they can travel around the world, you know, working on shows, you know, and being an actor. I mean, that's a pretty cool thing to say. So yeah, the self tapes and just the technology itself has furthered the industry.
In terms of the types of shows and films that shoot here, what about that?
I mean, Vancouver is a service industry for the U.S. I mean, that's first and foremost. Yes, there's Canadian content, and we work and book on all of that stuff. But you know, if you want to break into the LA market, it's important to book those shows that people recognize. So you know, like for right now, shooting is Sabrina and Charmed and like Supernaturals in its 14th season or something. Yeah,
and they reuse actors too, right?
They reuse actors. Yeah. Arrow, Flash, DC, Supergirl. They're really kind of particular with who they'd want to reuse if they reuse,
right?
Because it's the same DC world. But there's a ton of Lifetime and Hallmark. A ton of those projects, which are now becoming a little bit more diverse too. I mean, before it was like not even heard of, but over the years they've beginning to open up,
Right.
And cast more diverse talent, which is great. And when I say diverse, I mean all types, all all shapes, colors, not necessarily maybe transgendered actors for Hallmark and Lifetime, but there is a place for them too. And we've had success with a bunch of we rep a bunch of transgendered actors, and they've had a lot of success, especially whether it be theater or types of shows, right? Like cable shows, or where it's a little bit more,
progressive.
Progressive, and there's a little bit more freedom in the content. So that's exciting for me to watch. Actors, transgendered actors, really succeed and have their voice heard, and really get to play parts that not necessarily everyone else gets to play. Like, it's kind of cool to see that happen.
Do you ever see a breakdown and in it maybe just specifically ask for men, and you suggest maybe someone who's transgender?
We do that all the time. We try and think outside the box. Like, if you have an actor that might not be the right ethnicity or age, but they are the essence of the character that's being described, we will absolutely put them in. And there are certain casting directors that will be open, and some that will, it depends on what they've been directed to find by their producers. But I would say, that's the whole point, right? Like, we're trying to be creative and try and think, outside the box, and just kind of, be a little bit, take a risk. Why not? And see what happens. Because it has happened before. Like, I've had females book male parts. It's great. It's awesome.
Yeah, and you find more and more with every passing year, like the producers are more and more open to that, and they're
way more open. They're way more open to diversity, which they should have been years ago, because it represents our society as a whole. So you know what? There isn't a town that's just full of Caucasian people anymore. You know what I mean? Well, maybe in some places, but you know what I mean? Like, and so that's important. And I think, it still can go further, but they've definitely.
Where do you think is some areas where we need more work on that? I mean, the industry as a
Hallmark and Lifetime.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely. But then you got to look at, well, who is the demographics watching that stuff, right?
Right.
So
I just realized, I just learned it this year that Hallmark has something like 95 million subscribers in the U.S. 95 million homes is where Hallmark goes to 90. That's crazy. That's bigger than most networks.
I know. Well, they're powerful.
Yeah.
I don't even know. There's got to be like 100 at least plus. I should probably count and see how many Hallmark and Lifetime movies of the week are filmed in Vancouver per year. It's an insane business.
Right. And I find, they'll often cast a star as their lead, and then the rest of the cast, do you find they hire them locally mostly?
Yeah, typically they'll bring 1 and 2 from their name talent, and then we will fill in the rest. Typically, sometimes Canadian actors will get a shot at being 1 or 2.
Okay.
And so it can happen. It depends who you are and where you're at, and but it would be nice to see more. The Canadians can handle it, but sometimes they just don't get those opportunities.
Right. Something I've heard from actors is Canadian actors who have built a bit of a resume in Canada, they go down to Los Angeles, and then somehow it just increases their profile more, and they end up booking more work just because they're based there. Is that something you find?
Yeah, it's different with every actor because everyone's their own product, like I said before. But I think there's something to say when an actor is on an episode of popular shows like Ballers, or I don't know, Big Little Lies, or some HBO shows, or some shows that might not necessarily be cast up here, and they get on them down there. Then it raises their profile, especially if it's a show that's good. Then really an actor's profile can just skyrocket, and then they can pretty much kind of not pick and they can be pick and choose. They can pick and choose, but they can really, their career will be elevated, and they can have sort of more choice.
Right. So it's more about booking those high profile shows that
Right.
kind of elevates your
I mean,
profile overall.
and you don't know what a success of a show is going to be until it comes out, because
Mm-hmm.
you could have the recipe to have an amazing show with the writers and actors and, you know, the people involved with their past credits, but sometimes it doesn't always turn out that way, right? So you just never know.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it seems like the actors who have booked the shows in LA, they're usually the shows that are coming back up here to film,
Yeah.
which happens a lot because because they're Canadian, you
Right.
know, and it helps production with them being up here, and
for tax benefits.
that helps, yeah. And so it's funny. It's like every actor jokes. It's like they go down there to book something down there, and they end up being back up here. But hey, they're working, so that's
Right.
all that matters.
Right. On that, I mean, there's a lot of shows here. There's a lot of work in Vancouver.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, you know, it depends on the actor, like you said, but what's your recommendation around going to Los Angeles or staying in Vancouver? I guess it totally depends. Do you even need to be living there, first of all, now?
It depends on who you are
Right.
and where you're at. But some do. Some want to. They'll build their resume here. They'll get on the shows. You know, the credited LA shot shows that you need to build the resume, and they'll. You know, we will help our clients. You know, set up meetings down in Los Angeles with agents and managers, depending on your status. I mean, some actors have green cards already, so it's
Right.
easy. They can work cross-border. First Nation actors who are under the J Treaty can work cross-border, which we have several actors. And some will get the O1 visa, which you could get through an agency or manager down in Los Angeles, which certain networks and studios allow, some don't. So it totally depends, but we've had actors who do both. They'll go down there, they'll spend some time down there, they'll come back here, maybe they'll split their time. We've also had actors who just have never gone down there, and excuse me, it's all through tape.
Yeah.
Because they like Vancouver.
Right.
So it just depends on who you are and where you're at in your life, right? Like, I think that comes into play for sure.
Is
making
there
those choices?
Is there a point going down there if you don't have work authorization?
I don't think there is. No. I mean, that's just my opinion. I think you, or at least you're in the process of getting. Or you could get, like, I have a client who lived down there for a while, but didn't have the papers, but has the credits and everything that if the visa is needed, it can happen right away.
Okay.
So that is, that's a major point in making that decision, right? Because sometimes if you're right for the part and there's not enough time to get the paperwork done, that would be really unfortunate, you know? So you want to have all those ducks in a row, I think, before you are committing to working down there, you know?
Right. And so you obviously work with a lot of agencies there and a lot of clients there. What are the biggest differences between just the industry in Los Angeles and Vancouver and how it works?
I mean, Vancouver is so small. Like, a lot of people might not see that. I mean, literally, there's like 10 or 12 film and TV casting offices up here doing everything. Whereas down in Los Angeles, you might not meet the same casting director, you know, twice. I mean, you'll probably meet the bigger ones time and time again if you're in those rooms. It's just the size. Like, Los Angeles is massive. I mean, I think there's 10 million actors compared to 10,000 here in Vancouver. Don't quote me on those numbers. I don't know. But you know what I mean? That's the difference.
What about in terms of how the agencies work, how casting works? Is it different, or is that more or less the same?
No, I think it's more or less the same. I think it depends. It depends on the actor and who you're with. I mean, there are bigger companies, there are medium-sized companies, and there are smaller companies, both agencies and managers, and we work with all levels. Once an actor has gone into these rooms and, you know, makes the name for himself or is a fan of a certain office, then they're continually brought in until they book something. Or maybe they see a casting director once and book something and they're on a show, you know? Like, I mean, it's kind of it's just like up here, right? But bigger.
Right.
So you might not be getting as many opportunities down there if you're not,
At a certain level.
Yeah. So if you're not ready for LA, it can feel quite lonely and quiet. And you know how actors get when they're stir crazy, right?
Right.
It's, so it's tough. Yeah. Does that answer your question, kind of?
Yeah. I mean, I've heard from a few people that, of course, the industry is the industry, but apparently casting is kind of like they're very casual there. Apparently,
they're very casual.
You go in, often they're reading with you, and they're just sitting on the couch, and it's more casual.
It's more of a meet and greet situation with you reading. Yep, that's for sure. And usually it could just be a casting session first or assistant casting session first, and then it's DP session. So directors and producers are present. Whereas up in Vancouver, because again, Canadian casting is servicing the U.S. Productions and the casting directors from Los Angeles too, so they're conversing. A lot of the times they only get one session, so it's directly, you're going directly to a director producer. So from Vancouver's casting's point of view, they're going to bring in the people they know and can rely on. If they only have one session that's 2 hours and they have 10 characters to cast, I mean, what would you do? Right. You're not going to create more work for yourself and bring in all these newbies and then have them fail. You know what I mean? I mean, you got to put it, and that's where it comes down to, because you have actors asking all the time, like, oh, why don't I go in for this? Or I've heard about this, and so-and-so's reading for that. And you hear those things, and you have to step away from the artistic side for a second and think about the business side. And it really is, the actors I want to work with have to have a balance between both business and artistic ability. It's just, that's what the industry is. It's not just your artistic, side that you want to put forward. You have to understand how the business works too, to have success, I think.
So on that, other than talent, talent, I think first of all, talent is such a loosely used term, right? But let's say an actor has talent. What are some other characteristics in actors that make you want to work with them?
I mean, all the usual that you want. They're an extension of us, right? They're an extension of the agency. You want professionals. You want people who are prepared, who are reliable, accountable, talented, have a positive energy and a positive vibe when they're in the room. That take care of themselves, right? Like if you are, if you're 5'6" and 340 pounds, and those are the roles that you're going out for, you're a character actor, where you sit. But if you're reading for leading male and female parts, you need to look like a leading male and female.
Right.
And how do you do that? And I'm not asking people to have that, heroin chic look, or do this, or
go get plastic surgery.
Exactly. or that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you need to be the best version of yourself. So however you can be like that, that's what you need to be. Because that's what's going to help you get the role. I mean, there are certain stereotypes in Hollywood that it's hard to break, and so that being one of them, like a leading male and female, what are those and what do they look like right now, And some of those stereotypes have been broken, but yeah, I think everybody wants to be the best version of themselves. I think that's what we're kind of striving for here in life, right? I mean, not just in acting, but in acting, it's under a microscope, so they look at it a little.
I mean, the way I look at it, it's an extension of who you are. Because when the camera comes close on you, it's hard to hide stuff. What you are shows up, right? Not just your physical, but what you are inside. So.
Absolutely. It is hard, and that's why, in your 20s, it's it's a crazy place to be, right? And
if you don't know who you are,
and if you're not having success as an actor, if you are having success as an actor, it can get to you. I mean, there's just. It can be a lot for any individual, right? So yeah, you want to stay fit in your mind and body, and just be just be grounded as best you can, because there's certain things and people are going to say things to you and it's going to cloud it all up, and people can be really damaged by it. Mm-hmm. I've seen it.
Yeah. And I think if you become very successful, that can happen a lot too, right? And
For sure.
Because for me, it's like you said, it's about self-awareness is huge for me. Mm-hmm. And it's important not to attach your personal value to the value of getting work. Those are not the same, right? Yeah. Just because you're working doesn't make you a good person or mentally healthy. Or
no. God, no.
And then when you start mixing the two is when I think a lot of things, you don't get work and then you just think you're a shitty person in general and you just become depressed overall in life. And then you get work and then suddenly you think, you're an amazing person. And
yeah. I know, it's crazy, right?
Yeah, I just think this industry, I mean, like every industry, there's mental health, which is an important topic these days, which is great that it's out there. And everyone has mental health issues. But just in this industry, like you said, we're under a microscope. And sometimes it doesn't even matter how good you are. You're good, but you still might not work.
Yeah. And
then it can affect your personal sense of worth.
Absolutely.
So it's important to be really strong, have a good support system.
Yeah, and that's our job. I mean, we're here to talk to our actors, to help them through those tough times, right? Because there are going to be tough times. It's a roller coaster. There's ups and downs. So you need to just be available to that and be aware of where everyone's at, And
Right.
Again, that's why you keep the numbers small as an agent. For me, at least, it just allows you to have the time.
Right.
You cannot manage 150 people properly. I don't care who you think you are. So anyone out there who thinks they can, they're foolish.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Right.
Not accurately and properly. I mean,
you can't know all your actors then. Well, if you have so many.
Yeah. I mean, I know them all. I've had some though for almost 20 years.
Wow. So
it's a little different, right? But someone can call me about somebody and I can tell them anything they want. I know them. I mean, that's how you can market them and push them. To know those little facts, it's important.
Right. What's your communication style with your actors? I know everyone's different. Do you? Yeah.
For me, I'm big on. I just started with that personal. It's all about having the personal contact. I'm not just gonna send you a text or email and. If you have a question about anything, always say, call us about anything. Don't be afraid, because it's important that they feel that they can talk to us at all times. If it's a big audition, I want to go through it with an actor. Mm-hmm. So I think communication, being open and honest, are key. They're key to any relationship, really, whether it be your partner in life or an actor agent. But I think it's important to have check-ins. I think it's important to, if you hear of some sort of feedback, whether it be good or bad, that it's, or, good or constructive or whatever, that it's not sugar-coated and that it's very, when I give it to you, it's
real.
It's real. Yeah. It's not, that's the only way you're going to grow and change. So what's the point in sugarcoating anything,
Right.
So I mean, what you see is what you get with us, with our whole office. We are straight up. I don't have any time to be anything else, really. I just have to tell you how it is.
Right. Actually, that's one of the reasons, I don't know if I mentioned this to you, that I wanted to sign with you. Because when I first came here, I met a lot of agents, and I could just tell so many agents were just...
I mean, they can sell you something. They can sell you the dream and sell you...
But I'm not 18. I'm not a naive 18-year... I'm how... This is so obvious that... I got the feeling they didn't even know... They hadn't looked at my stuff. Right. Or I'm how do you know I'm good? A lot of some people even straight up said to me that, oh, you're ethnic, let's do it. Literally.
Right.
So I'm I get it right now. Maybe there's a bit of a demand, but don't you want to think that at least I'm good?
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. If I'm going to call, especially somebody who's new and need to introduce you to the town, I need to know what you can do and what level you're reading at and what roles you want. And if we see eye to eye and if we're on the same page and we have the same goals set out, then great. I think that's the start of a good working relationship. And of course, stuff changes, and we've adapted too, mm-hmm. right? That's that's what it's about. But if you don't communicate and talk and be open and honest about it, then stuff gets missed. It's he said, she said, whatever, you know, and that's where the problems start, I think. So, there's no time for that.
Right. Yeah, I love straight up. Yeah, absolutely. So what about actors? You mentioned when you were an actor, you were the actor calling your agent every day after every audition. You may or may not have some actors like that. Every actor is different. Every actor needs a different level of babysitting or, you know, just being taken care of.
Right.
So what about feedback? I mean, what's your opinion on just getting feedback?
On getting feedback from casting?
Yes.
It depends on the actor, and it depends on what the role is. If it's during pilot season, no, you're not getting anything.
Right.
If you're, like I said before, the callback is the feedback, and booking the job, well, you did it. Right. You know, if you're brand new and I want to get some words, I will just pick and choose the right time to contact casting. Right. Because and some are great. Some have very specific notes about each scene and performance that the actor has done. And it has to be for a role that has some meat to it. I'm not going to call about security guard number 1, right. You know, and how did he say, you know, this way, sir. Yeah. Like, I don't think that helps. Right. But when there's some meat to it and there's a bit of an, you know, there's a scene involved that has some sort of, you know, range, then yeah, I mean, for somebody who's new and maybe you did shit the bed on the first time you saw a casting director in town and then they're like, nah, they did not do well, and then it's like my job to get you back in there where you have to, you know, do well. But some might not see you for a couple months to a year if you do shit the bed, because it is competitive. And like, you probably are seeing the same type of guys at every audition, and you're like, okay, I just want to, you know, I need to, how am I going to rise above, you know? Right. Yeah. So feedback is such a hard one. Like, I know, and that I think comes from the actor just wanting validation and like how much work they put in. And I think it goes without being said, like, they know, like, we all know. And I think also you getting into the room, you've already beaten out, we went out for dinner with a casting director a couple weeks ago, and they had 716 suggestions for this one role. Wow. And they brought in...
Just from Vancouver?
Just from Vancouver.
Oh, wow. And then
they brought in 10 people.
Wow.
Oh, she was telling me about her self-tape email, and she showed me, and there was like 380 self-tapes. I mean, you have to also look at it from their perspective and like what they have to do and the time constraint that they're doing this in. Right. And so I just want to be, we don't want to be the agency that's like, you know, we want it, like if the actor is getting called in, great. If the actor is getting put on hold or shortlisted or pinned or booking, then I'm not going to ask for anything because you're doing everything right. So just trust your gut, you know? Yeah.
So let's say, and you know, that's why I think every audition is so important, right? Because it's an invitation. You've already been shortlisted for like hundreds of actors just for the audition. And it's important to do your best. But let's say, you know, mistakes happen. Actors fuck up. What's your advice to actors after a bad audition? How do they recover? How do they maybe get back in the room? Or
just move on. Yeah. Let it go. Hashtag let it go. Seriously. They know you have off days. Everyone has an off day.
Should they let you know?
Yeah, they should let us know for sure. Okay. Again, that comes down to the communication. Like, if, you know... You just need to move forward, and the next time you see that casting office, you're gonna be a different actor, right? Right. That's the best. That's what the advice I would give. You cannot beat yourself up. You got to also remember what you're doing here. Like, we are not curing world hunger. Right. You know, you are auditioning for, you know, I don't know. Like, to be a superhero in Flash or whatever it is you're auditioning for, you know, you got to also put everything into perspective. Right. You know, and you know, don't beat yourself up about it, and don't get into a clinical depression over one audition. I mean, it's not worth the energy. Get up, dust it off, you know, just get your head back in the game and move on. Yeah.
What are some
Easier said than done.
Yeah,
right?
I know,
I mean, I'm the
I
one
know.
sitting here going like, you can do whatever. I
let it
know,
go.
and that's why I respect and love
Right.
you guys, because I mean, day in, day out, you guys are.
And you were one of you were one.
I
of
was
us,
one of them,
right?
so I
you got
remember,
it.
and it hasn't changed. The process is the same for auditions, and you guys put yourself out there. You're spending hours memorizing 6 pages to put yourself, for a chance at being what a guest star on a show, and you're going in, day out, and if it's just no, I mean, how does that not have some sort of taxing, implication on your psyche? It does.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to be strong, and you just have to kind of like breathe it out. I don't know,
Right.
like just let it roll off your back and move on and
Practice
and move forward.
detachment.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to have that sort of mentality about it, or you'll drive yourself crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the best advice I've heard on this is Bryan Cranston when he says those 5 minutes, the role is yours. Do it, and that was your opportunity, and then it's done.
Yeah.
You were the character. You got the role for those 5 minutes.
They wouldn't
and then,
be bringing you in if they didn't
Right.
think you could get it. And
Right.
trust me, they want you to book it, because
Right.
if you get it,
Right.
then they can move on and cast the next role they're looking for.
Right.
I mean, you make their job easier. That's
Right.
why they're going to bring in the people that are booking and relying, and it's just you just got to get in there, right?
Mm-hmm. What are some things that you've seen in some actors that you like working with, some characteristics that make them successful over a period of time, having a long-term career?
I just think the ones that are, they just have it's an energy. I don't know how else to explain it. I know like people like in the music industry call it like, Simon Cowell's like the X Factor or whatever, but I think it's a vibe and it's an energy that they bring in, and some just have that type of personality and vibe where you're like, I want to hang out with you. I want to see more of this. Do you know what I mean? Like and then I think others don't, and maybe they can work on getting that, but or they're just a great actor, because also some actors are just very quiet, and then it's like they get into a room and they're shy just in their normal day-to-day behavior, but then they get into the room and they just can turn it on, right? And, but I like people who have something to say. I mean, I like the people who have a bit of personality and are, those are the. I tend to also attract the, more of the like earthy type of actor here.
What do you mean by that?
I don't know. I guess like more like I've had a bunch
Like character
of,
types, you mean?
I have a lot of character actors, but I think like more like the I don't know. I don't want to say like I don't want to be too general or too specific, like the hippie, earthy tone type of actor, but like I don't know. But I appreciate all walks, and I love. That's the fun thing about actors. You guys are all so different, so I kind of love seeing what I mean. One of my favorite actors. I don't really have favorites, actually. No, one of the ones.
I was going to ask you your top 5.
No.
You have at least 5 actors.
I know. I don't have a list like that. I mean, you guys are all so different. It's hard to compare, and that's
Right.
got to remember that's like what's casting's doing too. Like, how do you compare? But one of the actors I've loved working with over the past couple years, she came to me a few years ago, and she was an actor as a male.
Okay.
And then she came back in her 50s as a female.
Mm-hmm.
And casting directors in town knew her as a male, and he was quite successful back then.
Okay.
Had booked like guest stars and recurrings as a male.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and it was at a time where it wasn't very accepting yet.
Right.
And I sent letters out and like was pushing her for things. And it was a challenge. And we didn't get far. People appreciated what we were doing,
Mm-hmm.
but it was hard to kind of convince the higher ups or whoever the producers or networks were of what we were doing. And then, of course, all these things start happening, in the world with just accepting all walks of life. And so after a year or so, I guess, because I just told her, I'm like, look, I'm at a loss. I don't know what to do. Like, let's put a pause on this. Because again, I'm being upfront and honest and communicative. I don't know what to do.
Right.
I don't want to leave you hanging, but and so I don't know how long, had to have been at least a year or 2 years past. And I was like, you know what? Things look like it's changing. And I called her and I'm like, let's try again. And I'm not kidding.
Oh, you called her?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like, I'm not kidding you. Like, it just kind of opened up. Like, she did 5 episodes on The Magicians.
Oh, wow.
She did a guest star on Dead of Summer, which was this ABC show that I think lasted only 10 episodes, but still like in a role of like a psychologist. Was on Damnation, which was a show that was shot last year, and then has just spent the last 9 months doing the Shakespeare Festival in Ashland, Oregon.
Oh, wow.
And so that was a 9-month contract, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
How amazing. Like
Right.
a solid, like, you know.
What made you decide to try working on that relationship?
I always
again?
like to look at things like this is a challenge, right? Like this actor, you know, the life that this person has had, her life story is incredible, and this is what she wants to do,
Right.
And I'm like, fuck, I'll try. Like, why not? You know?
Yeah.
And it's just. That's the most rewarding thing, to see the success happen, and just how grateful that this person is that, you know, throughout all of it, we stuck together, even though I told her it wasn't working for a while when she stopped auditioning, but you know, in the end, it's worked out well for her. So and she's just finishing her contract with the Shakespeare Festival and is back next week, and I'm kind of excited.
Oh, great.
That she's back for
Yeah.
film and TV. But yeah.
Yeah, nice. That's a
Yeah.
great story.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like that's what really, when I asked you what motivates you, right? Sounds like
That's a kind of
those are
big
the kind of-
motivation. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, because it's different.
Right.
I'm not pushing, you know, the next, you know, Ryan Reynolds, or you know what I mean? Like, I'm not.
You're making a difference. You're making.
I'm trying. I hope so. I mean, I don't know if it is. I think it is, but I know that I think it's important to be out there, and I mean, it's just the same with diverse actors. I mean, why can't there be? I mean, now you'll look at a breakdown and it'll be like African American, Hispanic, Caucasian. Why can't one of the roles be transgender?
Right.
It should just, you know, why can't it be? Like, I don't see anything different, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Great. That's a very inspirational story, Jason. And I actually love this about you, that you just said that, you know, if a working relationship is not working, you will just be completely honest and tell the actor, listen, this doesn't seem to be working for now.
Yeah.
So it seems like you've done that multiple times.
Mm-hmm. And it's the worst conversation to have. You
Right.
think I like having that conversation? Absolutely not. Because obviously when we started working together, there's a common goal that we're trying to reach. And, you know, it's awful to say, like, we haven't got there. Mm-hmm. And how much time do you give, you know? And
Right. How do you even get to that point? What is it?
I just kind of...
You just have a feeling about it. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just... Or they'll say something.
Right.
And I'll be like, you know what? You're right. It's not working. I'm trying X, Y, and Z. And, you know, maybe you'll have luck with a fresh set of eyes on you with another agent. Because there are great agents in town. And I'm not right for everybody, you know? And again, like with this whole office, like I've seen Jay and Sean and Sarah do things with actors that I'm like, they know exactly what to do with them, where I might not have an idea. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it is it's like a personal sort of thing that when you choose an actor, it's kind of like, okay, how can I maneuver them and you know, help secure that the work that they want and the roles they want and productions they want to be in. And, you know, as the same, they'll look at some of the people I have and they're just like, you know, like it's awesome. Like, and that's why I think it's a good mix here, because we all see something a little different.
Right. I think I've been dropped before, and it led to the biggest growth I've ever had in my own career and personal life. Because I got good feedback and I really took the time to reflect. I wasn't rep for, I think, 5 months, and I just was training, and then I came back with so much more focus. So as long as I think they're honest conversations, I think there can be excellent launching pads to
it's
to
not
your next
personal.
level. Yeah.
It really, I mean, and you can take it personal because it's hard. It's hard because it's like you are putting a bit of your personality out there as an actor for every role you go into, because that's what's going to make it authentic and original, is putting a bit of yourself in there. So I get that, but again, it does come down to the business side of it. And I mean, if you're constantly, auditioning and not booking for like a year straight, that's, a conversation. Or if you're not auditioning at all, I can't move you into a room. That's a conversation. Like it's not the greatest conversation, but it has to happen.
What have you seen? So let's say an actor's auditioning consistently over a year, but not booking anything. What is it then, do you think? I mean, casting likes them, but they're just not fitting into any role?
It honestly hasn't happened.
Okay.
I don't know.
So actors just either, if they don't audition, then it's a different thing. But
yeah, I mean, I think that's the whole process of meeting and screening people, and it's like, okay, I can work with you, and then it's like, you're out there. For me, at least, I don't know.
Right.
I don't, in the beginning, not good. Like, if I had actors who are sitting, but I still might believe them, but I didn't really have the clout yet, So in the first couple of years, it's a struggle, because there were certain actors that I would love for them to stay, but they had to move on because I wasn't helping them, right? But a few of them did come back once I did kind of move on up the ranks, I guess. Whatever. But it's just bizarre, and I don't want to hold anybody back, right? And I think so many people, do, because they're, it's not working, but they still believe, and it's a hard thing to come across. You just got to have those conversations, though, right? And I just don't think you're doing them justice if you're keeping them, but they're not progressing.
Right.
Yeah.
How has social media changed the game?
That is a loaded question. I mean, it is on a case-by-case scenario, I think. I think it can help and it can hinder people on how you use it and what you're posting. As an actor, do not post pictures of yourself on set before a project airs. Like, that's just... And that is now a clause, like, in most contracts and most shows. Like, that's just the norm now. Or giving away story points, or even casting announcements. Like, you have to be, everything's very, calculated and done in a certain way. Right. But I do think, for certain actors, we've gotten certain actors off social media. I mean, Sarah
completely off social media.
Yeah, like Sarah scouted people that she's found on YouTube who have YouTube channels, and we've taken on people who've been on reality shows after the fact. I mean, it helps, right? You have a bit of if it's a good show, and it's then you have a bit of a fan base. So, I mean, social media can work for you, and it can definitely work against you.
Right. All depends on how you use it. So what are some things, how are some ways that...
Roseanne Barr.
Right.
Against you. Yeah. I mean, one sentence, can change your life. I mean, that's pretty powerful.
Right. Don't be stupid.
Yeah.
Don't do stuff like that.
Yeah.
What are some ways that actors can use social media in a positive way?
I mean, again, certain messages, positive messages, like, bringing attention to, any sort of, I don't know. I mean, just don't be a dick, Like, I don't know. Like, you just don't, like, I mean, social media it's just such a loaded question, because, like, I mean, do you like social media?
I like it for if I'm working on something, to put that content out. For example, this podcast, I put it out on social media.
And we love our social media for talking about our actors' shows, or talking about certain, maybe we're doing like a toy drive for Christmas, and we're donating to this charity. I mean, I think all those things are amazing, and those are great. And that is a great way and platform to get the message out. I think that's all I want to say about that.
Okay. The craziest story I've heard about this is a casting director in Toronto. She said that they auditioned like 1,000 actors for one of Disney's new shows, and they found a lead, and he was cast and everything. And then he went on a vacation to Mexico, and then he put up a picture doing a naked headstand on the beach on his Instagram, like fully naked. And then obviously Disney found it, and then he got fired.
Whoa.
She was so mad because, they auditioned so many actors, and this was a huge break for him.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean, right? Like you have to have these conversations, especially when you're dealing with kids and teens. You really need, require a lot of time.
Right.
As they're
just managing
them if they do really well.
Right.
Because I don't want to be responsible for taking away a kid's, childhood, like from elementary school to high school. Like you're taking them away from that normal everyday life and putting them in this, this business.
Right.
And so I think it's important as an agent to really have a balance with that and promote it, no matter what the parents say. Because they're only a kid once. I mean, This industry is not going anywhere. And I mean, I don't know. That's my take on it. That's my opinion. And I think that's why we have very few kids on the roster.
Is there a minimum age under which you don't want to work with them?
No, I mean, it just kind of depends. Right. We have actors between the ages of like 4 or 5 up to an 80-year-old.
Okay.
But I think kids and teens are, you want to be respectful of who they are and what age they're at and what they're doing. And because if they're good, they can really take off in this, and then it can get crazy for them.
Right.
It's really good to get a kid if they're like 15, 16 and kind of develop them for a few years. And then once they hit it when they're 18, but playing younger still, then they're kind of an adult. I mean, do you know what I mean? Like there's, we've had a few of those stories, which are nice to have because they're just you can still really just kind of manage that and kind of give them the right advice, and still they can still have a normal life, like I don't know, some people get into this for all different reasons, right? Like some people want the fame and celebrity and that whole notoriety, and some are in it to just be an actor and have amazing parts and play different characters, and you can still have a great career and not be known. Lots of people do it. So that's,
Yeah, it's crazy. I've always found this crazy. I mean, when someone says that they're a lawyer, you don't ask them, are you like a star lawyer? You're a lawyer. But when you tell people you're an actor, people just assume you're either zero or you want to be George Clooney. Like even your aspirations cannot be somewhere in the middle. Not that you should not want to be George Clooney, but just like you said, there's so many actors who
how come there's no lawyer award shows or no doctor award shows? Like why do actors?
Well, they do have their conferences. They're just not online and.
I know, but that's my point. I mean, So look at that for a second and be like, okay.
Well, we're a celebrity obsessed culture, right?
Yeah. I guess so. Yeah.
I mean, part of me is I think it's amazing when stars and people who have a high profile use their profile for causes and whatnot. But there's a lot of very people who are doing great social work who don't have that profile, and they're not going viral because they're not Anne Hathaway or whatever. Nothing against Anne Hathaway saying whatever she wants to, but it's because we're a celebrity obsessed culture.
Yeah. I know. It's this business. I mean, it's full of personalities. It's just, it's how you can manage all of them, really. As an actor, as an agent, as a cast, it doesn't matter what job you have in this industry. I mean, in every industry, I guess you could say. I mean, I just think because, the entertainment industry is, everybody looks at as, it's kind of under the microscope. It's kind of in the forefront. Because it's on TV or it's on the radio or it's whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
What are your top pet peeves of working with actors?
I love actors. I don't think I'd be in this job for 17 plus years if I didn't love actors. But
Just some things that they do, not them.
I think the two things that bother me the most would be tardiness.
Okay. Can you elaborate on that?
I mean, somebody who's always late. I mean, I just don't understand why they think that their time is more precious than everyone else around them.
Right.
I mean, give me a break, you know?
Right.
So just don't be late. Be early. And don't be too early, because that's even more awkward.
Right.
Not just with casting, but just in life. Like, you
Right.
know, that's an important lesson that, I mean, that everyone should learn is don't be late.
I know I was late. I'm sorry, Jason.
Yes,
Was
you
that-
were late.
I saw
Yeah,
you
but
giving me the look.
you at least texted and said you're going to be, you were like 5 to 7 minutes late. Big deal. Like, I get it. Some, you know, stuff happens and we get it. Like, emergencies come up. But yeah, I would say tardiness. That's a big thing.
Okay.
With actors. And just like being prepared, like whether that is, and that can come in many different forms, like, you know, being at work and not having enough time with your sides. Well, if you don't put in the time, the other 9 people coming into the room the same day are ahead of you. So there's strike one. You know, being prepared. Oh, well, if you know you're catching the bus to the audition, then leave a little early if you're not used to doing it. Or if there's construction around the city, if you know and you're driving, like, leave a little early.
Right.
That's all about being prepared, you know, having your headshot and resume, being a professional, like being those little things that people forget about, especially once you, I think, get to a certain level where maybe you might not need to do those things, you
Right.
think?
Right.
No, you fucking do need to do those things.
That's true.
Having a headshot and resume that's up to date, not your headshot from 1976. It's not going to fly, you know?
Black and white.
Yeah. You know, and I don't know, like those are like the small things about just being an all around, just like young professional in this, that you just need to always have down. And then the rest, you know, you obviously have to have the look, the talent and all that other stuff. But those little things like that, I think, make a difference.
Okay. And 2 things that actors do that you really like.
2 things that actors do that I really like. Booking jobs is one thing. That's always a nice thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good for them, but it's nice that I get to be a part
Yeah,
of it.
of
I
course,
mean,
of
every day we get to call someone and tell them that.
Right.
So it's kind of like, it's like kind of like a drug, kind of, you know,
Yeah.
like, because it's, especially when you get a reaction from someone, right? Like,
What's the craziest reaction you ever got?
oh, I mean, we've had one actor booked a show, like tested for one show, didn't get it, came back, auditioned for another show, tested for that show, came back, was underage, but would be of age if the pilot, I mean, there's so many things that go into this, right? Like and then it's like, they, you know, it's like they telling them they've won the lottery, really.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. I mean, the best reactions are just them to see that smile and like their whole, I don't know, aura changes. And it's just like, that's awesome. Like, that's, I think, why we all do it, right?
Right.
Just to be part of it.
Cool.
Sorry, and then was 2 things?
Yeah. Well, if you don't have to,
Booking
that's okay.
and I think that says it all, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Jason, I have a couple of questions for you.
Yeah.
And the key to answering them is to not take too long, whatever comes in your head.
Okay.
What is your favorite word?
Yes.
What is your least favorite word?
Can't.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
And
And they can be 3 separate things as well.
Sorry.
Okay, so one at a
Repeat the
time.
question?
What turns you on creatively?
I don't know. I just think all 3 of them. It's just like a positive feeling, a positive emotion. I don't know.
Positive energy.
Positive energy. Yeah, I think that's what turns me on.
What turns you off?
No, the word no.
No? Okay. You don't like can't? No can't.
I don't
no,
like
no.
can't. I don't like no. I don't like people telling me what to do.
But that's not.
Then that's why
people
my
telling
own-
you what they can't do.
I know, but you know, it's like, no, you can't. No, but why can't you?
So what if they follow it up with a legitimate reason?
Then
make
fine.
it
But
okay?
I don't. I don't like the word can't or regret or any of those. Like, no, I think there's a way.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is your favorite curse word?
Fuck.
What sound or noise do you love?
A boat engine running.
A boat engine running? Do you have
I have boated. Yeah.
Okay.
I grew up obviously in the best place in the world, Vancouver. And I mean, when I was like a kid, I have an older brother, younger brother, mom and dad, and the dog. We'd be on like a 25-foot boat, and for like 3 weeks, we'd basically be camping on the water.
Oh, wow.
Up the coast of Vancouver. So that I will always that sound of an engine running and we're moving. I don't know. I just like that sound.
What sound or noise do you hate?
A fork scraping across a plate.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Property development.
Property development?
Mm-hmm.
Like a realtor, or to actually buy land and build?
Yeah.
Like a builder?
Yeah, maybe like developing, property development. Like I'm not like talking about knocking down the rainforest and developing that. I'm talking about like, it'd be cool to buy a building and I don't know. Yeah, it'd be cool to buy a building and I don't know, do whatever you want with it.
Cool. I'm learning so many new things about it.
Okay, well, there you go.
What profession would you not like to do?
Oh, doctor.
Why?
Actually maybe a techie, a computer science, computer programmer, techie, IT guy. I couldn't do doctor probably because I'm not smart enough, I think, to handle that whole situation. Not only are you like a surgeon, like operating on somebody, but also dealing with the families and stuff. Like I think that's a lot. That requires a certain personality. But I think that, the tech and computer programming world, like that is just beyond comprehension to me. And I totally, I envy people who understand that.
Okay, the final question.
Yeah.
If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Oh, fuck. Welcome. We like your smile. I don't know. I have no idea. I should have fucking looked that question up, damn it.
That's okay.
That's okay.
That's a good answer. Cool. I'd like to end the episode on 2 last questions,
sure.
Jason.
Okay.
First one, do you miss acting or performing?
No, I don't. And I actually have been asked this question quite a bit.
Okay.
And the reason being is I'm just involved on another side of it, but I'm constantly watching taping our actors, going to theater. So I feel very much connected to it still. And like at times,
But you don't feel the need to do it?
I don't. No, but there's been times where I've, I might grab a microphone and do a little karaoke.
Right.
Can't sing though, but I guess that might get it out. I don't know. No, I don't miss it. I don't. And I just think I changed. I don't know. I just evolved into something else, but I'm still totally, this is what I'm supposed to do. And I had no idea when it was happening, but it's definitely.
Okay. What advice would you give a younger Jason about the business?
Trust your gut.
Trust your gut?
Yeah, that's it. You can't go wrong. I mean, it's just, you can get all the information and you can weigh it all out, but I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to go with like that gut feeling. I guess that's the best. I mean, if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be where I am today. Seriously. Like if I didn't like trust, like, okay, I think my dad has an idea for me with taking this over. I mean, who knows where I would have been.
But were there instances where you felt you should have trusted your gut more? Is that why you say that? Or you felt like you have done that throughout?
I think I've done that throughout, but I think at times where I listen to something else, then I know it's wrong, or the outcome is not what I expected, or so yeah, I don't know. I think there is just, it's like when you're picking an actor too, you trust your gut, as do you when you're picking an agent, as do you when why'd you want to move out to Vancouver? You just trusted that this is where you should be for right now. Right.
Yeah, I find that, it's always a bit of a leap of faith, right? Especially
for sure.
Big moves. And then you adjust And sometimes you realize, okay, maybe it wasn't the right thing, but doing it is still better than not doing it and then regretting it later, for sure. At least it was your mistake that you can own up to and learn from.
That's why it's like the words can't regret. Like, no, because everything you do, I mean, whether it will help you in the long run. I mean, it makes you who you are, and you know, as long as you're not like murdering people, you know, then you should be okay. You know, but yeah, I mean, there's lessons in the mistakes too. So I mean, you know, you can't go wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Trust your gut.
Trust your gut. Yeah.
It's a great way to end the episode. Thank you so much, Jason.
Thank you. That was awesome.
Yeah.